What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to be having a look at the top 10 most expensive cards from Romance Dawn. I have told you in videos recently that reprints of Romance Dawn have to be coming, and I've explained why. Link in the description. And I have told you that the price of these singles is going to fall when that happens. When we get the reprint, when we get more stock, when we have more of these cards out there, the price is going to fall. I've done a video about that, link in the description. That's not taken away from anything I'm going for in this video. This video is me basically saying, look, I've told you should be waiting to buy singles, and actually, I have made a video about that as well, telling you that right now is a terrible time to buy singles. If you can, please wait. But by the same token, it's still very interesting, and I still get a bunch of questions. What's this card worth? Which are the best cards to pull from a booster box, etc. And given that it is Christmas time and there are going to be a bunch of people getting booster boxes of Romance Dawn for Christmas and trying to figure out what the best pulls are, I figured, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Now seems like a good time to count down the top 10 most expensive cards from Romance Dawn. And one thing that is very interesting here, the top 10 is actually... It's really clean. The number 11 card would be the alternate art of Kozuki Oden, but that is honestly about 2/3 of the value of the number 10 card. So there is a really nice line you can draw underneath the top 10, and it works out rather nicely indeed. So in at number 10, we've got the alternate art of Monkey D. Luffy, the leader, coming in at about $65, and I'm going to tell you of all of these, whether they are holding, trending up, trending down, etc. This one went up, went down, and is holding quite nicely. Incidentally enough, as I'm recording this, not all these values necessarily track with what is listed on TCG Player at the moment, but the deal here is that I am looking at trends and roughly what they're going for, and where some of them are going up, they are going to look more expensive than they currently show on TCG Player, but that's where the card is at the moment, and it takes, you know, the average and the trends are a little bit to catch up. Why is this one so expensive? I mean, look, the leader is fine. It's actually the one that was given out in the trial deck. Once per turn, activate main, 4 cost, set up to one of your Supernova or Straw Hat type characters with a cost of 5 or less active, given an extra 1,000 power. Certainly being able to reuse one of your cards is nice. It's a bit expensive for my taste personally, but it's also Monkey. Everybody loves Monkey, so yeah. That's the answer, honestly. In at number 9, we've got Trafalgar Law, which is the character alternate art. This one is at about $70 and climbing very nicely indeed. This one is, it's one of those ones that did not start as a particularly hyped card, but as time goes by, this one is jumping up really rather nicely. People like this, and you know, partly we got a decently popular character, but it's also a very playable card in green. It's a blocker, and on play you can return a character to your hand, and then play a 3 cost or less character from your hand. So you basically use this to play a 3 cost character, replacing one of your ones on board. It's seeing a bunch of play in green. Green is seeing a bunch of success. This is a very good card, and this is one of those ones that's jumping in price, largely because, I believe at least, people just really want to play the fanciest version of what is a very good card. In at number 3, we got DONQUIXOTE DOFLAMINGO, the alternate art leader, which is sitting there at about $75 and trending up very nicely. And I'm loving this because this is one of the alternate arts I pulled in my box. So yay! And this one seems to be because people are coming around to the idea of playing this and realizing that this might actually be a decently playable card. Not one that's seen a lot of hype yet, but I'm seeing more and more posts about this online from people getting excited about it. Dawn X2, when attacking, 1 cost, reveal 1 card from the top of your deck. If it is a 7 Warlords of the Sea character with a cost of 4 or less, you can play that card rested. Okay, not bad. Potentially playing a card for free. I can see why people would like this, ladies and gentlemen. I can see why people would like it. In at number 7, we got the alternate art of Yamato. It's $80, and this one dropped quite sharply initially. Was for a while $130, but this one seems to have leveled out at about $80. Now, here's the thing. This is one of those cards in the long run that I expect to be more expensive. Partly, it is a playable card. It's got double attack and banish. Both of those are good. But also, it's an alternate art of a secret rare, which means that the pull rate is very, very low. Lower than for most of the cards on this list. And that means that over time, I expect this, if I do this list in 2 years' time, I expect Yamato to be higher than number 7. But, still a good card, still an alternate art secret rare, still very much worth having. And from my box, I pulled number 7 and 8 on this list. I don't think I can have any complaints. In at number 6, we've got Hancock. Now, this one is also at about $80. It is trending down. It's still, as it stands, a bit more expensive than Yamato, but I would expect these to flip fairly soon. Because Hancock, it's fine. You got a blocker, Don X1 when attacking or on block. If you've got 5 or less cards in your hand, draw 1 card. The problem is, you're not a phenomenal attacker, you're not a phenomenal blocker. You're fine in both regards, but not phenomenal. And this is a card that doesn't see as much play as some of the other cards on this list, like Law and some of the other cards we're going to get to. So this seems to be a card which has largely jumped because of the artwork. But why would you buy it because of the artwork if it's early on in the game and the price is going to fall over time? I'm not saying it's not a playable card. I'm saying that from a lot of the lists I'm seeing, blue is not as good as green and red, and this is not an absolute staple like some of these other cards are, so I would expect this one to keep going down. It's already trending down. I would expect this to keep going. In at number 9, we've got the alternate art of the Trafalgar Law Leader. This is the dual colour green and red, and this is one that is seeing a bunch of play at the moment. And the alternate art leaders, because you just kind of put them in a nice fancy case and leave them there, you're not shuffling them into your deck, you only ever need 1, you're not going to wreck it playing with it, and that means that people are incentivized to have really cool versions of their leaders, which I think is always going to mean the leaders, the alternate arts, are a little bit more expensive because of that. Now, this one is coming in about $90 and still very much on an upwards trend. Dual colour green and red, activate main once per turn, pay 2. If you have 5 characters, put 1 to your hand, and then play a 5 cost or less with a different colour, i.e. return a green, play a red, or return a red, play a green, because you're only allowed to play green and red in this deck. And yeah, like we said a minute ago, playing characters cheaply is good. You're playing a 5 cost but only paying 2. You're replacing a character you don't really need anymore. I like it, ladies and gentlemen. I honestly like this very much indeed, as do a lot of other people. Now, in at number 4, we've got Roronoa ZORO. This is the alternate art leader, which is currently at about $105 and still trending up. This one has been on an upwards trajectory from $45 to $105, and it's not showing any signs of slowing down. And here's the thing. Right now, this is arguably the best deck in the OPO1 format. Over in Japan right now, it is inarguably the best card in the OPO2 format. There's not really any counter-argument. It is the top deck by a mile in Japan right now. And I'm following those lists, and I assure you, it is number 1 by a mile. It's not the only good deck, but it is the clear number 1. And it's not terribly interesting. Don X1 on your turn, all your characters gain 1,000 power. But that means every single attack is forcing your opponent to counter a little bit more. Every single attack is more likely to go through. This is, for a character that looks so plain and uninspiring on the face of it, and I'm sorry it really does, or a leader, oh my goodness, this is a good card when you actually sit down and play with it. Don't expect this one to drop seriously anytime soon. Comparatively, like, don't get me wrong, I think all the cards are going to drop, but expect this to be in the top 4 moving forward. And I do think the top 4 are going to stay for a while, which does make me a little bit sad. Because in at number 3, we got the alternate art character Roronoa ZORO. And look, I know I've come on my channel here, right, with some bravado, telling you that I think I'm going to be able to get this cheaply. And at some point, I still believe that's true. But it ain't going to be anytime soon. I adore it for the Akira Igawa artwork. That's why I want it. And I'm just going to wait till this is no longer that playable, and then I'm going to pick it up quite cheap. But we're not there. because it's a free cost with Rush. And it's got 5,000 power, which is key, because remember, leaders have 5,000 power, and attackers have the tiebreaker. So what that means is that when I attack with this, I force my opponent to counter. And I can attack the turn I play it. It is a phenomenal card. I've seen a couple of posts from people on the Facebook group lately basically saying, hey, so I'm building Red Rush, but I don't have Roronoa Zoro. What's a good alternative? There isn't one. And if you're not going to be playing Roronoa Zoro, don't play Red Rush. And I'm sorry if that sounds mean. The deck is nowhere near as good without this card. So just don't play it. Because it's not going to be anywhere near as good. Sorry. Yeah, it's at $120, but it is very much still trending upwards. I should have bought this on release. I should have seen this coming. I knew how good a card it was. I am still going to get this card, and I'm convinced I'm going to get it cheaply. But I'm going to wait for a while, because while Red Rush is good, again, all the values should come down. But comparatively, this is going to be a top 3 or 4 card moving forward. In at number 2, we got the alternate art of Nami, and let's be clear, this is an artwork thing. I'm not saying it's not a good card, but I absolutely am saying that the value comes from the artwork. The card is fine. On play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a Straw Hat crew other than Nami, pop it in your hand. It's fine. It's a 1 cost that helps you search out cards you want. It's alright. But it's not. It's $200, I should say. And it's $200 and still trending up. It actually dropped initially, but it's now trending up. A lot of the recent sales are around the $200 mark, and this is still climbing. Don't expect it to fall anytime soon. This is getting a little bit silly. So yay. And then obviously at number 1, it's Manga SHANK'S. What's really interesting about Manga SHANK'S, however, this is a card that started off crazy high. Dropped very sharply from over 700 to below 600, and now it's trending up again. And the last few sales peg it as roughly a $700 card. And this is very interesting. This one is right on the precipice. This could go either way. This could keep climbing up, or it could start falling sharply. I still believe that, like all the cards on this list, as Romance Dawn becomes more available, this is going to drop very sharply and settle. But as it stands at the moment, if you want this card, you are going to be paying. I personally like the fact that this list is a very nice, easy, clear, simple top 10. That makes me super happy. But if you want any of the cards on this list, I've told you before and I'm going to tell you again, might I suggest waiting if there's any chance for you to do so. Pick up the fancy versions later on, because right now, Romance Dawn is still sold out. We are still in a terrible time to be picking up singles, so by all means, go and buy Roronoa Zoro, the character, because it's amazing. Go buy the regular version. And if you want the fancy version, you're either going to be paying, or maybe wait till things calm down a bit. Some of these cards are never going to end up being super cheap, because they're too good, but I think they will all fall quite sharply, and even the really good cards over time will become less good. The non-playable cards will end up there'll be so many out there, and over time things will stabilise, but I do still find it very interesting to look at what's going on, and having a look at which cards you really want to pull. So there we go. Now we have. And now it's over to you guys. Which of these cards have you pulled? Which cards do you want? Which of these would you be willing to pay for? Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.